Hey everyone, Gill Gross here. I promised some midweek content. I didn't promise it, but I teased it, and here I am with some Wednesday Cincinnati takeaways. It's actually Thursday, 12:56 a.m. here in New York. But the Kyrgios match, which was one thing that we'll be going over. That one took a while to wrap up. So just going over, not in the kind of same kind of depth that we get on Monday, but let's just talk about some things. Zverev out. He loses to Kecmanovic and hits 20 double faults, which I mean, there's no other way to put it. You can't win like that. You can't. So he has the yips right now with his second serve. He is completely and utterly in his own head. He's not hitting the tape. He's not missing by inches. I mean, he at times is missing by feet on his second serve. It is a mess, and we've reached the point where at different times it seems like there are different things wrong with Zverev, and the only trend, the only consistent, the only constant is that there's something wrong with Alexander Zverev. By the way, I mean, I'm someone who continues to keep the faith. I was talking to someone who said I don't ever think he'll win a major, and I'm completely not. I'm not there yet. So as much as the Zverev analysis can compile and seem very very negative over times like these, his skills are still there, but the problems are just compounding and seem to be changing all the time. And right now, he can't get his second serve in the box, plain and simple. And Kecmanovic advances. The night session, Kyrgios loses to Khachanov in 3 sets. It was a 6-2 third set. I'm not going to remember the score line. But Kyrgios won the first set, and he appeared to be in good shape in the second set. I believe that on a quick court like this, and because Khachanov kind of can be rushed on the forehand side, doesn't really love the cat and mouse points where I talked about when Kyrgios played Tsitsipas in DC, how if you struggle with the cat and mouse points, Nick can create that so easily for himself. I really feel like Kyrgios has the edge in this matchup if he just put his head to the grindstone. But what we saw is the very opposite. It was basically creating an argument with chair umpire Fergus Murphy out of thin air. He was complaining about the serve clock starting too quickly. And this started midway through the second set, and he just never let it go for the rest of the match. He continued to berate Fergus Murphy without any breaks, and was completely relentless. He got one unsportsmanlike conduct. He took 2 rackets into the locker room, smashed them, said he was going to the bathroom, smashed them in the hallway, didn't get a code violation for that. That would have been a game penalty at that point because he already had a warning and a point penalty for the unsportsmanlike. Smashed rackets after that, didn't get the game penalty. On break point in the third set, goes for a front-facing tweener to award Khachanov the first break of serve in the third set on a half volley. So the score was 30-40, and Kyrgios tries a circus shot, misses it horribly, and because he was basically clowning for the end of the second set and for most of the third set. Or for all of the third set, I should say, not even most. Then, where it really gets out of bounds is what he did at the end of the match, where he did not shake Fergus Murphy's hand, called him an effing tool, and spit in his direction after the match. And yeah, it was ugly. It was super ugly. I feel like the Kyrgios thing can get uncomfortable at times because it gets him the tantrums get him a lot of attention, and on pure entertainment value, there's something there, but it's not good. It's and it's starting to get, it can get a bit uncomfortable at times because I do wonder if Nick can control himself, and I do wonder if there are bigger problems with Nick Kyrgios, and if he has behavioral, some real, actually serious behavioral problems, because he does in cases like this show an appalling lack of control, and I do wonder if for us to glorify it or to take any pleasure in it at all is actually morally wrong, and that's kind of something I was thinking about during the match. I thought when Kyrgios is so off the rails, it can get a little bit uncomfortable, and you wonder about how healthy Nick Kyrgios is, and that's how bad this was. I do believe he would have beat Karen Khachanov if he stayed the course, if he played with the same attitude that he did in the first set, and if he didn't create this argument out of thin air that Fergus Murphy was starting the serve clock too quickly. It was nuts. A tough day for one-handers. I'm going to go pretty long on this. There's a couple things I want to say. Let's start with Tsitsipas. He lost to Jan-Lennard Struff today. For a while, I've been a bit confounded about why Tsitsipas has more success on on slower surfaces as opposed to quicker surfaces. Based on the level of aggression that Stefanos Tsitsipas plays with, you would think that he would really enjoy quicker surfaces that are going to reward his first strike tennis. But with the exception of his semifinal run in Australia, most of his results have been on slower hard courts and clay, especially clay. And I've wondered about that. And watching Struff, and more I'm starting to understand why, and I think I have the answer. And maybe it's more than this. Maybe there's more to it. But I simply think that if you, on a quick surface, if you have a good serve and you hammer Kyrgios' backhand return, he struggles mightily with that. And it was an interesting thing to watch today because Tsitsipas literally gave himself no chance for the first set and a lot of the second set because he could not get his returns in play, in particular his backhand return. He was standing very much on top of the baseline, and he was catching it late. He was hitting it flat. He wasn't trying to chip it or block it. He was trying to hit through it. He just wasn't getting it in play. He wasn't getting returns in play. And when he was getting returns in play on the backhand side, it was weak and it was in the middle of the court. He made some adjustments. He moved back. He hit a great backhand return to get the break back in the second set. But all in all, I think that his returning, especially on the backhand side, when it's on him quick, is such a liability, where on clay, he has the time to take a fuller swing, and the backhand return isn't as big a problem. I'd like to look deeper into this, maybe look at some stats, maybe do some digging with the metrics. But at the moment, this is my hypothesis, that mainly it's about the return, which is why Tsitsipas has been better on surfaces that give him more time on that particular shot and overall. Struff, very impressive though. I mean, he was on fire, and this is a guy who he's very dangerous because he knows his intention at all times. I mean, he hits every shot with bad intention, and I use the term bad in the affectionate way of using the term. I mean, he knows that he's a big guy. I think he carries, a lot of weight in his upper body, a lot of strength. As a result, he's not the best mover, but when he gets his racket on the ball, he's trying to do damage every single shot. And what's very unique about Struff, and by the way, he has the serve to make it an effective enough package. But what I really like about Struff is his mentality is even that way returning the serve. And in the men's game, not a lot of even the more aggressive players on tour, a lot of them don't carry that aggressive mentality over to the return of serve. But Struff understands what he has. He understands he's not the best mover. He understands he's not the most consistent. So even on the return of serve, and I mean the men's serve is massive. It's massive. But even so, he knows he has to go for it, and he actually goes for big returns. It's very rare on tour, and I like that about Struff. Moving on to Wawrinka. He loses to Andrei Rublev, qualifier, dark horse in that quarter, in my opinion, and really looking quite dangerous. By the way, Shapovalov, I just want to lump. It's another guy like Tsitsipas. One-handed backhand return, doesn't have any kind of block return. He really tries to swing, doesn't put it in play as much as he needs to. It's too long. And again, a quick surface like Cincinnati, I don't think, I think his results suffer there. Is it Shapovalov? I know that you guys are going to know the answer, but I don't think I think Shapovalov's results are really bad in Cincinnati. I might be getting him confused with someone else, but I just feel like for Tsitsipas and Shapovalov, the backhand returns, they need to get more compact. They need to get crisper. Or when they're on a court like Cincinnati, Shapovalov losing to Luca Pui today, when they're on a court this quick and they're against competent servers, it's a problem. Wawrinka is a different case, completely different case. Wawrinka, one-handed backhand, but he hasn't kind of defied the laws of physics and the space-time continuum like Roger Federer. He doesn't hit over the backhand return, as it's so difficult to do with one hand. He does have the block return, the chip return. He runs into an awful matchup, though, in Andrei Rublev. The first thing that I noticed when I saw Andrei Rublev, the first time I'd ever seen him play, I said, wow, this guy has amazing racket speed, and he can really generate his own pace. You can give him a ball, no pace, right on the with good depth, and that's what a good block return is. Not a lot of pace on it, but you get depth on it. And you make the opponent generate, and it's very hard for them to do a lot of damage off of a ball, off of kind of a dead ball deep in the court. But Rublev has so much acceleration, so much ferocity on the forehand side, nice Western grip forehand, sturdy base, that Wawrinka's kind of block returns are going to be met with actually excellent first strike tennis. Rublev did not get broken in that match. So I found it to be a very difficult matchup for Wawrinka, given the block return and Rublev's generation of pace. But that was kind of one of the trends today. I mean, Kyrgios stole headlines with his tantrum. Zverev stole headlines with his double faults. But I also thought that the other big trend was these one-handers in different and unique ways. Wawrinka with the block return, which is, granted, a lot more successful and a lot more effective than where Tsitsipas and Shapovalov are at right now, not able to put the returns in play enough. But these one-handed backhand returns, having trouble on these quicker courts. It was Jeff Salzenstein. I will relay. He wants, or I think he believes, and I disagree with him because I think Tsitsipas will be world number one day at some point in his career. But he believes there will never be a world number one with a one-handed backhand after Roger Federer because, among other things, it's so difficult to return the serve with the one-hander. So those are my thoughts on Wednesday in Cincinnati. If you enjoy this kind of video, let me know in the comments. And I won't often be able to do this because it requires me to be watching tennis all day, and I do other things. And I have to be a bit selective with what matches I watch because I can't do nothing all day. But in general, if this is kind of a good framework, a good start to kind of a daily content model. I'm trying to kind of, think this through. Let me know what you think. I appreciate your feedback. It always means a lot, and you guys are always very helpful. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.